I'm pleased to introduce Mark Politi from the Tone Nose, Inc. Mark is a licensing and entertainment marketing expert who has worked on over 175 feature films, TV shows, and video games, which have included Star Wars, Batman, Spider-Man, Titanic, and Spore. Mark formerly was an executive as Senior Vice President, CFO at Xanart Entertainment and VP of Licensing for Planet Wide Games and Mashon.com. Mark will be presenting a talk titled Audio Beacons, the InAudible Bridge from Big Data and Content to Mobile Smartphone Consumers. Please join me in welcoming Mark.
Thank you and welcome. We just had an amazing speech from Warner Brothers here. I spent 12 years in licensing at Warner Brothers producing consumer products. I'm very familiar with the brands. I actually got to work with Bob Kane, which was amazing. So let me give you a little background on myself. I've worked in entertainment for probably about 20 years, primarily in consumer products and licensing. The Tone Nose is a company that came to me about 3 years ago, and they work sort of in the audio beacon space. And in the audio beacon space, what that means basically is many of us have gone into retail stores, Macy's and the Apple Store. If your phone is with you, there's a box in those phones that will actually show or send a message via Bluetooth. So the CEO of the Tone Nose, Tom Webster, came in and said, I can do the exact same thing without hardware. I'm like, how's that even possible? So what I'm going to show you here is sort of how that works. And we work with audio. We don't work with any parts of hardware. So basically, the Internet of Things, as we know, involves smart home, smart city, smart cars, smart content. It also can, touch many different touch points in different places, whether it's in entertainment, whether it's in hospitality and health, whatever that might mean. There's also a lot of specific touch points. It's got retail, sports, theaters, home, entertainment, and business. Now, there's many, many different ways that content is delivered these days. It's live events, television, film, retail. But as we know, there's over 1 billion handsets in the world where people are digesting their content on the mobile phone. But there really hasn't been a connection between these pieces of content and the direct mobile phone up till now. Now, online advertising, content, basically it's content plus advertising equals an offer or a call to action, which is hyperlink. It's a very simplistic concept. There's big data analytics, pre and post. You guys technologically are much more sophisticated than I am. But what if you could advertise to the smartphone consumers at the point of interest and contextually? Now, at the point of context, you have a company's advertising campaign, the advertising spend. You have the mobile consumer that wants to purchase something, and when they actually want to buy something at the highest interest is where the actual transaction happens, or m-commerce happens as well. Now, how is this normally done now? We do it through banner ads, through online video, through Bluetooth beacons, and through geofencing. But what is really missing in this equation? Content plus context plus big data equals what's missing is the connection to the smartphone consumer. E-commerce sales, purchases, downloads, and signups. What if you could send a contextual advertisement to a smartphone consumer at the time of highest interest? So what I'm about to show you here is an audio beacon. This is my little example of what a sound looks like visually. So what I'm going to show you here, even though I don't have a sound piece here, is a thing we did for Ariana Grande. She's this up-and-coming singer that's about to come out. We basically embedded a high-frequency tone inside her music video. Inside the music video is a super high-frequency tone you and I cannot hear, but the mobile phone, which is been opted into, and the microphone can be turned on. When the hyperlink goes off, it gets received by the phone, and it gets sent to a point of purchase where they can download music, purchase tickets, or any other hyperlink we want to send to. We did this before about 2.5 years ago, but at that point in time, she didn't even have a mobile phone available. So that's the video. Just come out the video for a second. So we've done that. All right, so maybe into this. Go back to my PowerPoint slide. Basically the Tone Nose delivers these audio beacons in many, many different formats. Mobile's changed forever the way we live, and forever changed the way we expect brands. It's fractured. Consumer journey is hundreds of real-time, intent-driven micro moments. Each one is critically important for brands to shape our decisions and preferences. Consumers' interest and relevance in terms of when they want to buy something is immediate. They want to buy it now. They don't want to wait. But sometimes people don't buy it now, and if they do wait, like we're talking about your theatrical tickets and whatnot in terms of the live consumer. The tone technology is the most simple form is an audio beacon. It's instantaneous direct-to-device marketing and analytics technology platform. We use imperceptible embedded audio tone tags to deliver contextual content directly to mobile devices without expensive hardware. 3 years ago, I took this technology to CES, and I've done CES for many years. It's very difficult to stand out. If you're a big company, it's hard to stand out. If you're a little company, it's hard to stand out. We were the lead story in Forbes at a CES, and they looked at this, what we do, as the last inch of the IoT. All you guys do is big data, deal with analytics, but most of the time you can't touch from content to consumer, and that's what our technology can do. The technology platform provides a highly innovative marketing and technological commerce solutions for organizations in search of creating a deeper engagement with customers through mobile devices. Our tone technology platform uses patent-pending technology to deliver an organization's messages or offers directly to a mobile device, enabling a variety of mobile moments to their customers. Now, the sound is a piece of half the mobile device. Enhance any sound you control and provide your customer, fans, and prospects with contextually significant messages and actions. We all, see commercials on television, we see commercials online, but at that point in time where we're highly interested in purchasing something, we got to find the web tag, hashtags. You have to go to the e-commerce site. You have to go somewhere. We can actually push a contextual offer to a consumer at the highest point of interest, whether it's in real time or even time delayed, sent 3-4 hours later or 3 days later. Created out of thin air, a mobile moment that is relevant to consumers and fans of your brand works with an app in the background. This is like a walkie-talkie system. When we provide these audio beacons, they can reside in any piece of audio, whether it's film, television, trailers, commercials, YouTube videos, or anywhere sound resides. The importance of this, the ability to receive it, is the mobile apps have been opted into to receive that sound via the microphone turned on. We're not recording anything, we don't listen to any stuff, we're completely compliant with all the CAN spam laws, but we have the ability to transact from content to consumer. You can track digital interactions and receive in-depth data analysis at the moment you created through any forms of media. No privacy issues, nothing is recorded, or interactions are opted in. Tone technology uses existing infrastructure of sound. No Wi-Fi, Bluetooth beacons, hardware beacons, or network required. Now, how the tone technology works, this is an example of a program we're doing with some radio stations. The radio stations have, there's 1,200 radio stations that have broadcast radio, terrestrial radio, online radio. They also have mobile apps, but the advertising on the radio stations cannot connect to the mobile apps. So by adding our audio beacons to their interactive advertising, we can connect the actual sponsors directly with the mobile apps and offer, whether it's contest promotions, tickets for a band to go see, like this is an example of Pink. It's a way of directly connecting big data and analytics directly to the consumer in a way that the advertisers can benefit from and pay for.
Last question, sir.
Sure, go ahead.
Do you have the ability to predict if you should send the offer out or not? Or
So we have business analytics or business rules, so to speak, that you can set up. So like you can set it in real time live. You can set it 3 hours later, 3 days later, or based upon certain criteria that you've created for that action. Ostensibly, we're embedding these audio tones, whether even like in a system like here, if I was in the loudspeaker and you guys had your microphone open on your phones, I could push hyperlink directly from your phone without anything other than sound, which was pretty cool. So, go ahead, sure.
So, when the Ariana Grande song
Yes, yes.
it automatically showed the app on the screen.
So it was.
Does the customer have to opt in? That's the question really about opt in.
So when the consumer has downloaded the mobile app, in that case an Ariana Grande mobile app, they've downloaded both a software licensing agreement as well as opted to have the microphone turned on. They can opt out of that microphone turning on at that point, or they can also opt in and then later opt out as well. They're opting in at the point of installation. And so they're also going through the SLA at that point. If they decide to not install the app, and they can not install the app, or they can install it without the microphone being turned on. But again, we're not recording anything, we're just a pathway into the mobile phone for them in order to use it. Let me continue. So data analytics. Each platform comes with a data capture component that tracks and analyzes interactions with all tones The data can be presented in a customized interface along with integrated relevant third-party data for robust marketing information and strategic insights. Oops, let me go back here. So these are some of the initial early adopters. We did a program with the Detroit Pistons. The Detroit Pistons were trying to use hardware beacons within their stadium by embedding our audio beacons within their TV and radio broadcast. They were not only able to reach the people, 20,000 people in the stadium, but they were also reach the 250,000 people at home watching the game while their mobile phones opened up. There's a bunch of other different companies that have started to use some of the stuff. Rock Against Trafficking is a nonprofit group that we're working with. We're doing a live concert for 150,000 people for 3 days, coming up in the late part of 2017. We've been at this for about 3 years now, but the integration is getting better. So these are sort of some of the examples of tone and action. This talks about, this shows you an example of a radio ad program that they did where Pink was the brand advertiser. Some of these are demonstrations, some of these are not demonstrations, so some of these are not actual customers of ours, but these are demonstrations done for the brands. We can actually embed audio tones inside television shows. So for example, Ellen could actually, which she hasn't done this yet, but she could theoretically embed a audio tone within her advertisement, push from consumers, from the show directly to the consumers. Terrestrial radio, again, terrestrial radio advertising is going down. A lot of advertising is going to digital. This is one way for the terrestrial radio stations to pick up other advertising functionality or interactive functionality, connecting both their terrestrial radio with their customers. Network television, again, this is an example. You have bands that perform on television shows. You have television shows that have advertisers. By using our technology, it enables us to connect the consumer with the millions of people at home watching the actual show live. National local advertisements, any and all ads can carry tones. Well, national ads played or read, Volkswagen and perceptual tones delivered, providing a contextual, localized offer for all the viewers, listeners, regardless of the channel. YouTube and streaming, we can also embed the audio tone as part of an audio channel or a recorded sound that's part of the sound channel for a YouTube video without the consumer hearing it. It's a very high frequency tone. You and I can't hear it, but the phone can. Award shows and cable shows, a lot of times are one-off events where there are single days where they want to physically, capture a live audience of 10, 20 million people. Again, this is another way to connect consumers. As well as social media. And is there a question out there? Or?
Yeah, when the request is made, is there geolocation data passed back to the server?
Yeah, what's interesting is we have some entertainment companies. I've met with a record label. Well, we have pre-data and post-data in terms of how many tones are going out through the content, how many tones are being received, how many tones are clicked on, and what that click-through rate is. With mobile, as many of us know, there is no cookie, so there's some data in terms of device ID. This enables us to track both, like in fact, some television advertisers have wanted to embed the tones to be able to track attribution because they know that X amount of millions of people have seen the show, but they want to see, okay, how many mobile devices are actually watching while the show goes on, because we're pushing from television to the mobile phone. Some of them are just using it for attribution purposes. I met with a record label that had some problems. Their biggest case study was that their big act that sold 20 million records a year was they had 50 guitarists and 20 drummers and 30 singers, and when the Gold Master came out, they had to pay everybody performance royalties, but they had no idea if all those people performed. In theory, if they embedded our audio tones within each individual track, when the Gold Master came out, they could say, okay, this person actually performed, they get paid. This person didn't get on the Gold Master, so this one doesn't get paid. And they believed that this could actually save them millions of dollars just in trackability alone. You can also look at what this is as sort of like a audio version of a QR code. The QR code has a unique ID, like we scanned it and get the mobile download for the event today. This enables you to, like I said, push that same type of QR system, but through a piece of sound as opposed to a piece of graphics. Yes, ma'am?
So I'm just curious about the delivery part.
Yes.
So let's say I'm an app publisher and I have an app and I have this integrated with my app.
Yep.
So if I don't have the app open, how would that push work?
So on Android phones, by default, the microphone is turned on with regard to Android. A lot of us just generically are downloading apps that we've opted into the microphone just by chance. A lot of brands that we work with will control both the content and the reception of the mobile app, so that we're actually controlling both sides of the things. But in situations when we don't, where there's no way for us to guarantee 100% of reception, but if we just pushed out, if I pushed a tone out in this room, some of you guys would receive it just because you have a microphone turned on from somewhere in terms of your own existing phones. So when we work with clients, we're either pushing out tones for them or pushing out tones and also optimizing or upgrading their mobile apps to be able to receive our tones and then thus connecting the advertising with the content. Additionally, as a mobile developer, you could embed the tones within your mobile app to push out tones from that mobile app to another mobile app, in theory. Hopefully that answers your question, not too... Yes, sir?
Does the audio, or to whom you can't hear, does it have to piggyback on another sound?
It can be sent with no sound, and the thing that, well, it has to have some sound in general, but if it was silent, for example, and our sound is embedded, again, we wouldn't hear it. It would sound like there was no sound, but there would be a sound there, and it would be received. It's just you and I can hear it. Dogs would hear it, but you and I can't hear it. Some people claim that they can actually hear it, but it's so high at range that it doesn't.
And can you, let's say within a room, figure out which mobile, let's say you have different TV screens.
Yes.
Can you tell maybe I'm closer to this screen than to that?
It's based upon, like, we've done stuff where people can hear it 1,500 feet away. As long as it can be heard sound-wise, it can be heard in terms of distance. We've also, like within that Ariana Grande example I gave you guys, you can embed 30 tones within it and send out 30 different messages, whether it's real time, whether it's time delay, or you want to say 3 hours later, thank you for coming to my concert, please buy tickets for the next night. You know, it can be done not necessarily always real time. It can be done in multiple different ways. Some of the brands have multiple licensees where they have a t-shirt vendor, and a hat vendor, and a DVD vendor, and you can put up multiple offers from the same piece of content, but you also don't want to sort of overwhelm the customer with offers too.
For example, at a concert, if I can tone to figure out what people are at the station, let's say a museum,
right.
If I can differentiate, okay, there's a number of people at this station versus that one.
In a museum situation, you could literally have the tones emitting perpetually from a specific area of the museum. As you walked up there, it would send a message to that person walking up to it, and it could send information about the museum, you know, what you're showing, or the painting, or whatever else you're showing, as you got closer to that thing. And it could be also done in conjunction with geofencing and other technologies to sort of pinpoint those individuals. We're also working with some hospital companies that are going to use the technology as a live inventory control system. I was a CFO of a public company for many years that I did licensing with. And you have to take monthly closes, you have to do inventory and constantly actually count everything that you own. With the audio beacons we have, we're working on a hardware device, a very inexpensive one, sort of like a RFID, but a little more expensive, where we can put it on wheelchairs and like crutches and drug boxes and everything the hospital owns, and it will provide live, real-time inventory for the publicly traded company. That way, at the end of the month, when the accountant wants to do the monthly closes, they're not, yelling at the auditors, do this faster. They can actually see what's there, and because the audio emits a sound from the product, we can actually show exactly where it is and actually if it moves left, right, or center. So there's a lot of interesting functionalities that you can use the technology for, and many different people in different verticals use it for different purposes.
On the inventory,
yes.
Does each, like if I have 2 wheelchairs, do they have different frequencies?
Yeah. You could send individual different unique audio codes from 2 different individual wheelchairs or other products for that matter, and give you back that exact data back to your mobile device.
So potentially how many wheelchairs could I have that would have different frequencies? Is this like thousands?
We are apparently, according to our CEO, we have something like he said 4, don't quote me on this, but 4 quadrillion individual unique tones, or individual unique IDs that we can embed. So a client comes on board, we'll give them a library of unique IDs. They want more, they want less, but it can actually be individualized and set up based upon other scenarios. We also can plug directly into CRMs. With the Detroit Pistons, we plugged into their Microsoft Dynamics CRM, and enable them to actually point and shoot. Like in the third quarter, they had 8,000 hot dogs and 60 cases of beer left, so they pushed out a message that says, we want more. You get this food right now, and in the third quarter, these people walked out and bought more food. So it's like a point and shoot process, but most of the stuff you guys can do in big data, you don't have the ability to point and shoot to the customer. This enables you to do this through our technology. This also talks about in venue. What is Tone great for consumers? 100% opt-in, initial load or programmatic. Users don't have to do anything other than to receive offers or information, which is passive. There's no connectivity required. It's all via sound. Doesn't waste their time with no-nonsense offers or promotions. Aligns to and extends presents. We've also connected to a bunch of loyalty programs and can also have the ability to do that. And then Sue's privacy only listens for tone tags. Why is Tone great for advertisers? Drives engagement and revenue, works on all primary advertising engagement mediums, including broadcasting. Non-intrusive, it can be delivered immediately with specific timing or a specific location, i.e. within a mile of the store. Your branded mobile app, not ours. Our platform is agnostic. We're not specifically a mobile app. We're like an intermediary. Your brand mobile app, not ours. Ad verification, audience measurement, detailed demographics, aligns to and extends present loyalty programs. No connectivity required and can complement other beacons. 100% opt-in with privacy protections, only listens to tones, analytics reporting, dashboards, and scoreboards. And that's it for my presentation. Are there additional questions you guys have at all? I'll take a minute back again.
So right now, this seems like a really amazing technology. What would you say is your one or two biggest hurdles to get this more?
I take what I call Martian meetings. No pun intended for the more than the Martian. People think that this is like a next generation technology. This came out of some radio people that actually had a solution that they were trying to fix, and we realized that this had the ability to have a much bigger reach than actually the physical proximity beacons have in terms of having the sound, whether that's on television, whether that's on radio, in live events, concerts, whatever that might mean. I think that some of the not the manufacturers, but some of the IT people, when you give them something that it's not really that complex, but some of them, they don't want to add something to their planogram. They don't have enough time to deal with what they're already doing. But this is a pure revenue generation as well as attribution methodology that we can actually deliver to. So it's each different vertical we go into, it's variable. I worked on 175 films and licensing and merchandising. I come from entertainment, but we're not specifically just working with entertainment. We're working with healthcare. We're working with a lot of retail. We won an omni-channel award for supermarkets and things like that, where they're taking hardware proximity boxes, but they're not thinking about how to push from a supermarket commercial directly to the consumer when they're hungry at 6 p.m. So on my LinkedIn page, if you add me on LinkedIn, I wrote an article on contextual advertising. When people want to buy something, they want it now. People don't want to wait. They want to click a button like on Amazon or wherever else they want to buy. And we're trying to push an opportunity for brands and consumers to both be in the consumer's point when they actually want to purchase stuff, or one of the other programs that's really been one of the things I've been trying to work on as a big edict has been shopping cart abandonment. Because with shopping cart abandonment, there's a live cost to customers when they're leaving not customers, but the companies. When you leave the shopping cart and you haven't bought the product, you're either retargeting through Google AdWords or you've lost the customer. We can also retarget the same way with our audio beacon. So 3 hours later, you're going to get a message saying, "Hi, do you want to buy that book that you just saw on the website?" So there's a lot of different ways to sort of skin the cat. We're sort of showcasing our technology here because we've really mostly showed it to advertising agencies and advertising events, and we thought that the big data people would like to see what's possible, because again, many of you have probably never seen this before. But we're just fortunate that Sabash and people at the event today invited us to come down and speak, and hopefully that answers your question. Yes, sir.
Your hospital is good because pharma has same problems.
Right.
They lose expensive medicine, so you can track them and pay them.
Right. Yeah, it's there's a lot of things that are real time. Everyone's live interaction, And we look at the audio tones as the last inch of the IoT. You know, everybody wants to, you know, share where everything is, but nobody really can point and shoot and connect directly with the customer. Sorry, I don't publicly speak that often. But we're very excited about what we've done. We know that it's sort of bleeding edge. We think we can actually change some industries that believe in what we've done and see what we've done. We have open APIs. It's very simplistic to actually integrate with things. Are there other questions over here, or no? Yes, sir.
I wanted to get maybe some more detail on geo-targeting specifically.
Yeah. So some people have already gone down the pathway of buying proximity beaconings and buying geo-targeting. For those who don't know what geo-targeting, they put out like a virtual fence, and as you walk into that fence, it sends off individual messages. Sometimes, like I said, some of the places that we go into that have already gone down that pathway and bought all the other hardware, some have executed properly, some have not. And sometimes they'll use this as an addition, as a bolt-on, or they'll use this as a replacement. But it just depends on the scenario. Geo-targeting does work. I'm a little older than most, but millennials want offers. They want, when you walk into a mall, they want to get discounts and coupons. When you're on the market, you also want to get discounts and coupons. But some older people, they don't, like, the minute they get some ad, no, turn this off. I don't want this. Turn this off my phone. So some retailers and some people are a little reticent to use some of these more aggressive advertising methodologies. But nonetheless, it's up to the marketing entity as well as the environment, whether it makes sense or doesn't make sense. In the case of Ariana Grande, we were trying to use and show them in a music basis that if they put an audio tone at the end of the song, when you have 20,000 people leaving the venue, not all 100% are going to buy merchandise or buy tickets for the next night. But if they all have, oh, thank you for coming to my concert, please download this, free whatever she wants to send them. And, oh, by the way, you can buy tickets for tomorrow night, or you can buy merchandise, buy whatever. That's at the height of what they've been wound up for after a 2-hour concert. So we're trying to provide a bridge between the content to the consumer when they want to purchase it. And right now, with a concert, you might be lucky if 5% of people walk out with a t-shirt. If 20,000 people have that offer, or if 3 hours later they say, thank you very much for the concert, and by the way, it's personalized to you because they knew that you had opted into the mobile app that says, dear Mark or dear whomever, and it's coming from the artist, it gets a deeper engagement. So we've been trying to teach our clients how to use this in the ways we think will work best, and as it's evolved, we found all these other areas to use, like the inventory concepts and some of the attribution methodologies as well. So another question over here, or in the back?
Yeah, so you said dogs can hear the dog, right?
It's a very high frequency tone. It's sorry to be funny, but yeah, dogs can hear the tone. I mean, I don't know. I've never had a dog tell me that, but I think that's.
Well, I was just curious because when I was thinking about like some of the hospital patients and stuff, right. I had a lot of deaf patients. You didn't see many dogs. Right. I'm curious if there's an effect.
The dogs, really, I've not been around one when we've tried the audio beacons. The dogs are not hurt by the sound. It's very high frequencies. Yeah. So the human ear will not hear it. The phone can hear those type of individual sounds. And as long as the sound can be heard, whether it's 2 feet or 3 feet or 1,500 feet, it's been done in stadiums where it's like across the stadium, they can still pick up the sound. So,
Hospital normally used for training and whistle devices that we can't hear because of the pattern of airflow across the whistle. So we only use the phone at the right airflow so you can attach that way.
So if you guys have any questions or of interest, email me, call me, send carrier pigeons, anything. But thank you for coming to my speech tonight. I think there's actually a networking session afterwards at 7 p.m. But thank you very much for coming. And 47 seconds left.